Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join real estate entrepreneur and mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Guys, welcome back to Construct Your Life. This is Austin Linney here. I have my man Chandler Reed in the house wearing that terrible Buccaneers hat. Buccaneers. We got my guy down from Tampa. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, Austin. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, man, doing good. You know, I didn't even join Twitter till January of this last year, and it's been a pleasant surprise. I feel like I found my people that care about business, and I've learned so much. I tell everybody you could just be on Twitter for a year and it'd be better than an MBA. Chandler, why don't you tell the audience about kind of your story and who you are, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so Twitter is definitely a big part of my story, as we'll get into. But yeah, so speaking of Tampa, born and raised in Tampa, which is something, when you tell people that, they kind of look at you like a science experiment. A lot of transplants down here, especially living in downtown Tampa, which is where most people kind of move to, I would say, or at least most people my age move to. So yeah, they asked me, where'd I move here from? I'm like 2 miles south from where I was born down there. But yeah, so born and raised in Tampa. Went to school up the road at the University of Florida for got my undergrad in finance and master's in basically commercial real estate. So I'm a tried and true Florida man. Found a job in kind of multifamily private equity investment back here in Tampa. So I was doing asset management for that group right out of school, and then after that, kind of found my quote unquote dream job, I guess, if you will, working for a developer that was working on or building the Water Street Tampa project, which was like a $3 billion, big, sexy Class A development between the guy who owns the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, or Cascade, basically their investment arm. So that was kind of and I promise this is getting somewhere. I needed to tell it to bring the story full circle, but yeah. So it was like I was working my dream job, and then funny enough, we're talking about Twitter. So I actually ended up buying the business that I'm now currently running after I saw a tweet from my now business partner. So I'd been on Twitter for about a year. I was writing about commercial real estate, what I was up to in the development world down here, and I found a business that was basically they did lighting projects for a big apartment complexes around the country. So I didn't know anything about lights, but in my previous work lives I knew about apartments and multifamily, so I knew the clients. So I figured, hey, I always knew I wanted to do something entrepreneurial. I never knew it would take the shape of selling light bulbs. But yeah, I DM'd Sam, my business partner, and 3 months later, I brought in also one of my mentors in the space. The three of us ended up closing on the business together 3 months later after I saw the tweet, and we're off to the races. That was like 2.5 years ago now at this point. So it's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's I try to tell people like not everything, but most of what my network, my business opportunities, my business partners have all come from either Instagram, Twitter, or my podcast.
Yeah.
And, there's people that I know, he's a former client who is an introvert by trade. He'll tell you he's an introvert, but he's done 180 episodes on his podcast, and it's done everything for him. He's met all his business partners. I love real estate. I really do. That's where I cut my teeth. So same as you, 7 years. For me, and just me, it wasn't challenging enough for me.
Yeah.
It became a lot of rinse and repeat, super boring. Once you understand it, you're like, it's not that complicated. But the complexity of business, especially small business, is never ending.
Yeah, that's a whole different can of worms.
Is that the same thing for you? Did you find more of a passion when you stepped into the small business world?
Yeah, 100%. And I think just too, like, like, don't get me wrong, like I was a financial analyst at both of these previous companies. So going from like a financial analyst, like just about at the lowest end of the totem pole, to all of a sudden like running the show, that was certainly a big night and day difference for me. And actually, like, I used to be able to, I used to have a team of, older guys and girls that would, something was wrong, I could, go ask for help, or, hey, what do you think about this? I'll try to do it this way, to buying a business where, I didn't have anyone to ask. And if it didn't get done, we were royally screwed. So I had to go figure it out and learn on my own. So that was been a blast, and probably the biggest, night and day difference between real estate and small business.
And when you bought the business, did you get installed as CEO, or did you work in a different capacity?
Yeah, no, I was installed as CEO.
How many employees?
So when we bought it, it was a big turnaround. We only had one employee when we bought it. So kind of the story of it was, back in like 2017, the business had about like 15 employees. It was doing great. It was almost doing, I think about 15 million bucks top line revenue. But the seller then started basically like instead of installing, new LED lights out of apartment communities, he started doing smart homes for apartment complexes. So there's a recurring revenue piece to that. So it was a lot more sexy, if you will, than just coming in, installing lights, washing your hands, and moving on to the next building. So we basically took his time, attention, and resources, and in a lot of cases, or in, probably 50% of the old employee base, over to this new company. So when we got to it, there's basically one guy who was doing all the fulfillment, all the leads were inbound, and it need a lot of TLC to get it back to its former glory. So so I basically stepped in as the CEO, COO, head of sales, HR, half of our accounting department, like you name it. Like, besides actually going out there and screwing in light bulbs, which we sub out all of our labor, or like managing a project, which actually I take it back. I did a little bit of project management, and I did kind of our initial kind of boots on the ground assessments when we were going to go put together a scope for a project. So outside of like screwing in a light bulb, I pretty much did everything inside this business in the past 2.5 years.
And when you bought it, what was the revenue at when you bought it?
Yeah, so when we bought it, it did, like, the trailing 12 months, it did right around like 900K in revenue.
Okay. 900K, one employee. What is it at now? 2.5 years.
Yeah. So I guess the better story to paint, I can tell you too, what happened this year after the collapse of multifamily transactions with the spike in interest rates the past couple of months. But in 2022, so full year 2021, I guess from May until December. So I guess if you annualize it, we did probably around $1 million. So like, 100K better than the previous year. And then in 2022, we did like 3 million, and it was just over $3 million. It wasn't even to the over 10K, 3 million and 10K, but it was over $3 million, which was sweet. And then this year, depending on how a few contracts shake out, I think we're going to do like 1.75. So a pretty steep drop off. And that was because, we realized, or we didn't realize in our initial due diligence, just how much of these projects were coming from people who were buying value add apartments, and lights were one of the biggest things that they would touch when they would go to fix it up. So kind of during that time when we bought it, doing 900K with one employee. In 2022, at our peak, like I said, $3 million. We had 7 full-time employees, 2 overseas, Philippine-based teammates, and then 5 in office. So we hired, 3 new in-office teammates that year. Come, March 2023, we had done 10K of revenue after having done $3 million the year before. Because, when the interest rate spiked, not only did transactions just completely stop, but everyone, as the same dollars that you go to put capital improvements into your community are the same dollars that you go to pay your interest payments with on your loan. So all of a sudden your interest reserves, or your interest payments spiked. People were like, what the hell's going on? When their money's so close to their chest, no one knew what the hell's going on. And obviously, us being a project-based business, not a recurring revenue business, we have to do projects to keep the lights on. Not to use a horrible pun with the lighting business, but
How did you not go crazy? How did you not like?
Oh, I went fucking nuts. Excuse me. Part of my language, but yeah, I went
No.
crazy.
You haven't listened to my podcast. I cuss more than
Yeah.
anybody. So
Okay,
go
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going crazy. I mean, I was calling people. I'm driving around Florida, so we work nationwide too, like I said. So like, you know, I was even like extending personal trips a couple weeks longer just to like try to meet with anyone that would meet with us. And the answer was, hey, we are putting all capital projects on hold for the foreseeable future.
Mhm.
So that, when we got there, when we realized that, we looked at a runway. At the time, we were still paying off our seller financing too, which we paid off later this year, which is sweet. So now we're officially debt free, but we can get to that later. But
Mhm.
yeah, so we basically, I talked with both my business partners, the guys, we're out of money. No projects are coming in. We're gonna have to put some more money back into the business to keep us afloat, and we're also gonna have to reduce our overhead like crazy. So basically, we let go the 3 in-office people that we'd hired in 2022. One of our VAs got rid of our office, got rid of our nice to have, but don't need softwares. Kind of really reverted into default alive mode. And that was in March of 2023. And I don't know by what happened, but the business gods, saw me make some sacrifices and decided to reward me in April of 2023. So like a month after we'd put like I think it was like an extra 150K into the business just to like keep it floating while we could, because we knew the lights at an apartment complex are like a need. Like you
Yeah.
have to have lights. So it was just going to be how long do we have to survive out of this? I took a little pay cut, anything that we needed to do to keep it floating. But in April, lo and behold, like we ended up having our best month since we acquired the business. I don't know what was in the water, but everyone was like, hey, I guess this is a new high interest rate environment that we're operating in. Let's go ahead and start doing some of these projects. So in April, after doing just 10K through that first Q1, and after having done $3 million in 2022, we signed 800K of contracts in April. So, but the monkey was off my back. The light was saw the light at the end of the tunnel. So
And
we're good now.
You married or have a girlfriend?
No, I have a girlfriend.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much nicer were you to be around after the 800K than you were
Yeah.
before?
Yeah, that my friends, my family, everyone's like, yeah, Chandler, you're kind of a dick there for a while. We didn't really like hanging out with you.
So now my question to you is,
Yeah.
I have two questions. One is, what in that first year when you took over and you ran all the jobs and you were doing all the things, nothing about lighting.
Yeah.
What did you learn about yourself in that short time, that first when you jumped on board?
Yeah. So I learned that, if I need to get shit done, I can get shit done. It doesn't matter what it is, how long I'm gonna have to work, how many hours of sleep I'm not gonna have, whatever. Like I can get the job done. But it was a good opportunity for me to realize like, hey, here are my strengths, my weaknesses, instead of trying to be a superhero and like trying to do everything just because, hey, with just brute force, I'm gonna knock all this stuff off. What am I really good at? And start doubling down on that. And what do I either not like doing or I'm not good at, and just delegate that away to someone that is way better at it than me. Like, don't try to be Superman here because you're just hurting the business at that point.
And
So
what did you learn from 10K in 3 months to 800K in 1 month about yourself?
Yeah, well, I learned number one, especially after going from the 900,000 to $3 million. I kind of thought like, oh damn, this business stuff's so easy. I'm fucking the next Warren Buffett, or whatever. I'm a genius, Elon Musk. I learned that when I guess what I learned is that I'm not a genius, so humble yourself. A lot of some success is market driven, but there are some things that you do as a business owner and operator that puts you in a good position to do well. But I would say that like probably the biggest thing that I've learned is when times are great, try to humble yourself, bring yourself down, and when times are low, just know that they're going to get better. So I guess try to keep your emotional and mental health kind of like at a slow, steady pace, or else you're going to kill yourself doing this. And that's you're in business to live a better life, not to for it to be worse. So you got to learn to live with the ups and downs.
And how important were your business partners during that? They're a little more, they've been around a little
Yeah,
longer, right?
yes.
Yeah,
They're both kind of, I guess, Sam Rosati, who is kind of like in the SMB small business world, kind of like, been doing it for 10 years at least. And then my other business partner, Bert, who was kind of like the multifamily industry veteran who knew all that, but, had been a part of, both of them had been a part of big companies, growing companies. They've been there, done that. And yeah, having them was invaluable. I don't know what I would have done without them. Just kind of not even from like, obviously we had to do a capital call, which all three of us chipped into, but like just mentally, like so the funny thing was I'd never hired anyone before, which I did my first 5 in 2022. And then lo and behold, like 6 months after I made my last new hire, I guess, if you will, I had to go fire everyone. And I'd never fired anyone before. So I'm like, guys, well, one, I was like, I wasn't trying to pussy out of it. I'm like, I'm going to do this. I need to do this.
Yeah.
I run the company. But 2, like, any advice for me? Because like, how am I supposed to feel? Am I supposed to feel bad? Like, obviously, like, I just didn't know what to expect. And they were there to, not hold my hand, but kind of just guided me through the whole process. So they're invaluable.
So I've had companies and I've managed people, but not at the scale that I do now. We have 47, 48.
Nice.
I've let go, or they've quit, or I fired them 14 of the previous staff. And then we've hired about, 27, 29.
Nice.
It doesn't get easy.
Yeah.
I mean, even if they do bad things and you need to go, it's not fun. It never is fun.
It sucks.
And me and my CEO kind of play a game like, okay, who wants to handle this one? Like, and God bless him. Like, I think about him every day, and I'm like, if I didn't have him, like somebody that's in the trenches with me, I don't know what I would do. So I can only imagine how you felt. And just having those people there, it really doesn't go understand. And then my dad, who we've reconnected over the last year, ran a business for 46 years and sold it. Like,
nice.
And I remember, I don't know what your dad did, but I remember the first week I worked the business as CEO, I called him and I said, I have no idea how you did this for 46 years. I have so much respect for you. God bless you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
You don't know till you know, man.
Yeah, there's no no amount of podcasts or books can prepare you for what it is in real life.
So have you purchased another business, or you're just running this business so far? Or?
Yeah, just running this business so far. So like I said, it's been about 2.5 years now. I'm kind of like actively in the process of, we're already looking at, we've kind of hit default alive mode now, which is good. We started doing some in the middle of this year too. We've been working on it for about like 6 months on not only just lighting, which is obviously, kind of our bread and butter, but EV charging station installs. So we just started winning our first couple projects like that for apartments. So we kind of have like, hey, we're getting this like steady business in, and then, this is our default alive mode. We're here now. This is good. And then when, commercial real estate market gets hot again, we can be a little bit more thoughtful about growing it again, not trying to overgrow to meet up with all that stuff. But yeah, so right now I am currently kind of like processing myself out, if you will. Like I kind of have identified the hire and hirers that we need to make to fully get me out of it. And after that, yeah, I'm going to go search to go buy another business. I don't know what it's going to be. Probably won't be in any commercial project-based businesses again. This isn't there's a lot easier ways to make money. I'll tell anyone that's looking to get into that industry or is in that industry right now. There's a lot easier ways to make money. And then 2, kind of like what's taking up, I would say, the majority of my time right now is with my business partner, Sam, who I found the opportunity through. He runs kind of like an in-person boot camp on how to go from zero to you leave the boot camp and you're ready to go search and buy your own business, at least from like the playbook and how to search, the deal team that you need to, SBA lenders, legal, quality of earnings, insurance, all that good stuff. And then kind of the community support community after with, recurring calls, and then, being in the community with other searchers that are facing the same problems as you have, just kind of as your support network. We're working on kind of building that up and then trying to build an online component out of it too.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm helping them out with that. And then I think through that, hopefully I'm going to figure out what's the next type of business model that I want to get in, and then, go raise some money and then go, buy one, and then hopefully kind of do some sort of roll up, depending on what the type of industry is and how much money I think I can raise for it. So that's going to be, I think, my next move.
I mean, obviously, you were a kid and you were growing up and you were dreaming about the things you could do. I don't think lighting was
No,
top of the heap, right? But
no.
it cracks me up because people think I'm joking. Like, I've never seen a furnace until I moved here. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
I'm from Texas. There's a
Yeah.
there's a unit on the ground and it makes hot air and cold. That's what I know, right?
Yep.
I understand the business aspect of it and the people aspect of it. Is that like, obviously, like, lighting doesn't like light you. That's a stupid
Exactly.
pun. But,
Yeah.
but did you just fall in love with the business aspect of the execution of it? And that's
Oh
how,
yeah, 100%. So like I grew up playing, team sports. Now I mostly played. I guess I still play in my church softball leagues. That's a team sport. But growing up playing football and baseball, just the team aspect. That's kind of like what business is now, unless you're playing professional sports. Especially being the leader of a team. Motivating and getting people fired up to achieve a common goal. Which instead of winning a ball game, it's
Mhm.
hitting your goals in business and doing well for both your team and the shareholders and all that stuff. So a lot of parallels to it, which I think that's what fired me up most. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I love light bulbs, but with our projects, we do save our owners money, so I do like helping out, or our clients' money, so I do like that aspect and solving problems for them, making their lives easier. I find joy in that, which the medium is through the light bulbs. So
yeah. So when you're in these boot camps and these searchers, and for anybody who doesn't know that what is, there's this phenomenon, because I've talked to them and I don't know who, and I've just talked to guys. That's all I'm saying, guys. So don't freak out. I talked to a lot of men that are doing this. I don't know who these spouses are that allow these guys to take off 16 months to go find a business. God bless their better halves. You see these people, and you've hosted a couple of these boot camps, and you've met these people. Is there an age that's normal? Is it all over the place when you meet them? Is there a common theme that you see through the people that are searching for businesses?
Yeah, so I think the common theme is, at least the people that so I would just say kind of like the demographics of the people who roll through our boot camps. It's probably like early to mid 30s men who have families that kind of have been grinding the corporate life for a long time, and now they're starting to have kids and they can't spend as much time with their kids as they want, or obviously their family is now taking a big priority in their time, whereas when they're in their 20s, whether it was working in private equity or investment banking or whatever, tech, their kind of big time priority was the company that they were working for. Now they have families, they kind of want to take more ownership over their time and their life and their money, and kind of something that's super easy for them. Instead of, trying to build the next Uber or big startup, it's like, let me go buy this business that's been in existence for X number of years that isn't going anywhere. It just needs a little bit of new, fresh life into it as the owner, and kind of digitizing your processes. So yeah, so that is the biggest thing I would say demographically. But yeah, there's been a lot of women that have rolled through too, just which is really cool too. A lot of
way more.
Yeah, a lot of women, and I think the coolest thing is too, a lot of like kind of husband wife duo team. So
I love
one
that.
of them, so either they're both going to PG the SBA loan, or one of them is, and one of them is going to run this part of the business, the other one's going to run this other part of the business. It's been so cool to see.
I got to tell you the story. So I take my sales manager, I take him out on the first week I was here. I took him and his wife out, and we were talking about something in the business, and his wife like they've been dealing with this problem for like 7 years. She fixed it in like 10 minutes.
No
She was like,
way.
well,
Yeah.
she's like, well, if you just do this and you do this and you do that, it would be so much easier. And I was like, see, like even your wife understands,
Yeah.
I love that because it's, the different views.
Yeah. You need it.
There is something to be said that I
Yeah.
don't know the HVAC business. You didn't know the lighting business because we
Yeah.
don't have the preconceived notions that we're walking into it.
Exactly. No, that's a huge thing. And I think a lot of searchers that come into a new industry in a business that they buy a business in a new industry, that's like a huge thing for them because they come in with a fresh set of eyes. They see problems that, aren't so ingrained in their ways,
Mhm.
like some of the people, employees that have been working there for a long time, and they can just come in with a fresh set of eyes and say, they see the immediate direct point to solve the problem,
Mhm.
whereas
Mhm.
the other people have been going this all way like this
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
So it's good.
So you got all these people, you're teaching them all these concepts, and obviously you can't share everything that you're doing with them. But overall, what are the one or two things that you would like them to take away when they leave your boot camps?
Yeah. So I would say one, like, you can, I know you just mentioned like the 16 to 18 months. Like, if you actually, number one, it's not easy, right? Like, I know people talk about it on Twitter all the time. Oh, just do this, do that. Like, you actually have to put in the freaking work. And luckily, we set you up to where if you put in the work on our actionable playbook, like you will, like, there's some dude that came through the September boot camp who's already under LOI on like a really solid business, and it's been a month and a half. But he literally wiped his whole schedule and just literally supercharged exactly what we were telling him. So
Mhm.
number one, like you have to put in the work, but if you do put in the work, it is absolutely possible to drastically shorten the timeline that it takes to get into one of these businesses. And then two, well, it's like don't going back to my thing of learning what I'm good at, what I'm not good at. Like you don't have to be everyone or everything to your entire search process. What we teach and we harp on, and what's good because we connect with all those people is all you need to do is be the quarterback. You have to go out and like search and go find your deal. But once you have the deal, don't try to be the legal expert. Don't try to be the quality of earnings expert. Don't try to be the insurance expert. Go hire great people and let them do their thing. And that's one of the, benefits of coming with us is we literally plug you in with every single person that you
Mhm.
need to, that all they
Mhm.
do all day is do small business M&A transactions in their certain field. So you need to keep them on pace and say, hey, ex lawyer, we got to get this document over. Can you, pick it up a little bit? But let them do their thing, be a quarterback, and you know, run your deal, be the quarterback, but let your position players make the plays for you.
I just interviewed my business partner before this, one of my business partners, and what I was talking about that people don't understand, and we can talk about your employees to customers, we can talk about the buying process of a business. There are so many people intricate in all those things. Everybody has a different incentive, and everybody has a different ego, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody has a different emotions. And it might be you got to feed your family, but that lawyer's working on 20 other deals. He could give two effing shits about you.
Yeah.
And so you can freak out all you want because it means everything to you. Is my family going to
Mm-hmm.
eat? But you have to kind of center yourself and realize that you kind of have to. You learn a lot through the process of who's incentivized where. Same thing in real
Exactly.
estate. Who's
Yeah. Yeah.
incentivized where, what they're doing, how to get them incentivized is so
Mm-hmm.
important.
Yeah. So I think that's a critical thing. Once you get into the business, is making sure your employees' incentives are all aligned, or else you're
Mhm.
going to drive yourself crazy, and you're probably going to drive your employees crazy as a result. So
What
like.
when you started this process, you've hosted boot camps, you were working in real estate, and you're
Mhm.
sitting here today. Through this whole process, what was easier for you than you thought before you started?
Um, I think selling, because I'd never been in position to sell ever. You sit here and I don't know. I guess I just have this connotation of selling being like this, Wolf of Wall Street, like getting on
Mhm.
the phone, doing this elaborate script, having to, be able to talk all the jargon and all this stuff like that. When in reality, like especially in kind of, I guess, obviously it might be different for more technical or like higher level sales, stuff like that. But at least for like me and my B2B service business, or even selling people on our boot camp,
Mhm.
or selling my business partners on me as a,
Yeah.
investing in me as no one having not run a business before.
Mhm.
just being authentic and letting your true self come out and not trying to be overtly salesy. I think if you will, just like, hey, let your true self be authentic, let your true self come out, and um, just be a normal, likable person, and you'll sell yourself. You don't have to do any kind of overt stuff like that. But I guess I almost had like I got nervous, like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to like ask someone for this amount of money. But like, if you just prove through being yourself and showing why your products and why your services are good, they sell themselves, and it's not really that big of a deal. And at the end of the day, too, it's like, you forget you're not just taking money from them. You're also, if you're good at what you do, providing them a tremendous value that they otherwise couldn't get elsewhere. So it's a two-way street.
That's why I tell my guys all the time. I said, look, when it's minus 20 degrees and they don't have any heat, there's a lot less argument around price.
Yeah.
I said, so what we needed to do was provide more value than the number they're spending, because then now we've compounded the fact that we've taken away a concern for them and we delivered on top of that. Prime example, just a simple story, but matters. New sales guy, brought him from a Verizon store, crushing it because he sold me so much. I told him if he would leave me alone, I would give him a job, and he did. He's amazing. We have an older clientele where we are. She had a broken two stairs that had been broken forever. Not only did we fix the furnace, he went over there with a hammer and nail and fixed her stairs.
Nice. Like that's awesome.
That little thing is nothing
to
us, but to her it's her, and then she tells her family, and then but it's just the right look. Somebody said this to me the other day. If you do the things you were taught in kindergarten, business is pretty easy.
Yeah, right. No, that's so true. Yeah. And no, that's an awesome story. Yeah. Just be nice. Yeah. Do on others.
Yeah. Be nice. Communicate properly. Don't throw a tantrum. You're good.
Yeah.
So what was something that was harder for you than you thought before you got started?
Managing people. That again, going from not having any management experience, I guess kind of like leading sports teams growing up is kind of like that, but whole different environment. So I could get to someone to run through a brick wall for me on a football field, but like having to stay up late to get something done when your wife's pitching at you or something like that, that's a whole different set of problems you have to solve for. So I guess really just like again, just coming back to the authentic thing, just trying to level with people and just saying like, hey, I know what you're going through. Is there anything I can do to help out with you? And again, going back to kind of the incentive things, just that it took me a while of just like, instead of trying to dictate to people top down, like, hey, I know this is what needs to happen, do this, like go show them what needs to be done, lead from the front and bring the whole team along with you. That, it took me a little bit to figure that out, but that's probably because it was just coming from me going top down, barking down, just more probably like insecurity or me not even knowing like, hey, is this even something that needs to actually be done? But I'm just going to tell you to do it and we'll see what happens. So yeah, that was the hardest thing for me was managing people.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, everybody's quick answer is it's about money. But I found it very quickly that long time ago that it's real. Yes, it's a component of it, but really at the end of the day, it's not as important as I think people put it. It's
for sure.
Do they feel safe? Do they feel heard? Do they like what they do? Do they hear what we're trying to do? What we not messed up on, but we're trying to get even better at is a lot of the salespeople and the upper management have the vision of the company, but the techs who are in the field every day are out there all the time, so they don't hear about all the things that are going on. So I started taking my divisions to breakfast once a month, and they like just hey, this is what we're doing. This is how many calls we have going in. This is where we rank with they really enjoy kind of understanding more of like, okay, or where's the second location going to be? They like to know that there's going to be something down the road.
Yeah.
It's exciting for them.
No, that's huge. Cause you got to have the whole team behind the same, headed towards the same vision, or else there's going to be some discombobulation going on.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes is the only way to truly create a vision of something significant is to have a vision big enough for everybody to fit inside of it.
Yeah. No, that's great, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. So, those are the things that I think about. And I think about your story, and it goes to another one of my favorite quotes from Alex Ramosi. And he says, your business will work on you more than you do on it.
Yeah. That's true. Preach, brother Hermosi.
So I love that, right? Because,
Yeah.
for me, I've had a wild year, and not everybody knows about it. Like, I feel like I went from 18 to 80.
Yeah.
And I'm sure after 10K for 3 months and then 800K, because here's the problem: you had no sales, and then you had
Yeah.
the best month you ever had, and you had to fulfill them. So it was like
Yeah.
the craziness didn't end. You hit both sides of it.
Yeah, exactly. And fulfilling it too with, a third of the team that we had the month
Yes.
before. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I didn't even think about that. So if people want to find out about the boot camp, they want to follow you, how would they do that?
yeah, just look me up on Twitter. That's at Chandler Reed SMB. Or you could check out also smbootcamp.co. That's probably the two best places to find me.
And I only have one goal for next year, and that's to make it down to Tampa to swing the sticks.
Yes.
Chandler. Yes.
Let's go.
So my business partner is upset. My guys are obsessed with golf. They literally have their golf clubs at the office. They're obsessed. And then a couple of the owners are obsessed. So we got to get down there. I need some good times.
Yeah, well, the good thing about here is you can golf 365 days a year. So it's
exactly.
it's
it's going to be 26 on Monday. So we're well, man, I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate it so much. We have one. There's an indoor winter league here. So yeah, the guys play. Well, thank you so much, guys. If you got some value from this episode, send it to a friend, and we'll see you next time.